Hello, my name is Crystal Cruz, and my presentation is on the study of empathy in the Bible. The definition of empathy, according to Decidi and Ikes, is the volition act of putting oneself into somebody else's shoes. Next, we will be talking about empathy in the New Testament, particularly the life of Jesus Christ. So there are many things that we can learn in the life of Jesus Christ in regards to empathy. One of the main verse or the main text in the Bible is found in John 3:16. It says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life." Jesus Christ most especially felt empathy and compassion towards the hurting, the lost, the brokenhearted, the unlovable, and the sick. He was the ultimate example of unconditional love. As seen in the life of Jesus, he was able to put himself in everyone's situation and was deeply moved. Jesus is the best example on how to treat others with kindness, compassion, love, and empathy. Jesus loved everyone, saints and sinners. In order for his love to be shown, he died for everyone and was nailed on the cross for them. He did more than put himself into other people's shoes. He not only felt the pain of what people were going through, but went as far as dying for people. So in the life of Jesus Christ, he was a great example of empathy, because to everyone that he encountered, he felt for them, he mourned with them, he wept with them, he laughed with them. He is the true epitome of what empathy looks like in a person. Next, we'll be discussing some of the examples of empathy seen in the Bible. In Matthew 15:29 to 39, it talks about Jesus feeding the 4,000. And in verse 32, it said, Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." So in this passage, Jesus was continuing on with his ministry, and a great crowd gathered around him, up to the length of 4,000 people. And he saw how much people were starving, because in 3 days there was a huge crowd and they haven't eaten anything. So crowds became so big because of how Jesus performed many miracles. He saw how hungry and tired they were for the past 3 days. He felt compassion and was moved by their dedication to learn about the word. He performed a miracle to feed 4,000 people with a few pieces of food. Jesus was considerate of how people were feeling and gave them a solution. As counselors, we must be able to figure out what people are feeling and act on how to help them succeed. Another example of empathy, or the lack of empathy, in the Bible is found in Mark 2:15 to 17. It says, "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." In this passage, it was discussing about how the Pharisees did not have empathy towards others, because Jesus sat and had dinner with sinners, and Pharisees did not agree on being associated with sinners because they felt that they were righteous. So the Pharisees judge others of what they've done in their past. They judge Jesus for eating or being associated with them. But however, Jesus rebuked them for having this way of thinking. And it said, we must not be like the Pharisees. We must look past of what a person has done. Everyone deserves to be heard, felt, seen, regardless of what they've done in the past, regardless of what they're going through. We must have not like the mindset of these Pharisees, but the mindset of Jesus Christ, who ate with sinners because he sees everyone as equals. And that's how we should also see other people. We should see them as our own equal. And one of the main biblical events that impacted me the most in the Bible, and what I've learned the most from, is the story of Lazarus. So in John 11:17-44, it said in verse 32, when Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been there, my brother would not have died. Verse 33, when Jesus saw her weeping and saw the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. And Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him. So this passage specifically was talking about a biblical event of Lazarus being raised from the dead. We can learn a lot about empathy through these passages. So Jesus empathized with Lazarus' family. He wept with them. He felt agony and sorrow of how to lose a loved one. So what I've learned in these passages is it's okay to be moved by your clients. It shows that we are human, just like how Jesus was moved by everyone's sorrow, and he was very close to Lazarus, thinking of him as a friend. So this example was one of the true signs of empathy, of how Jesus mourned with the family, mourned with his friend because of how he felt for him. But in the end, Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. So like I've said earlier, it is okay to be moved by your clients. It shows that we are human. And how faith has impacted empathy in my life, I like to think of this verse in Philippians 2:1-4. Therefore, you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and one in mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. So faith is impactful in how I empathize towards others, because Jesus said to have compassion, love, and a caring mindset. I try to have the same mindset, just like the way Jesus would, seeing other people. And in the Bible verse, it said to have love, compassion, and one spirit towards others. I must be sensitive and portray Christ-like characteristic and love towards my clients. My faith is a big asset in how I empathize, because without my faith, I wouldn't know how to really empathize. Without the life of Jesus Christ, I wouldn't really know how to go about feeling for others and how I should help them grow. And lastly, how neuroscience impacts empathy. So it says the firing neurons during the observation of actions performed another individual may code the equivalence between oneself and others. And it says in Romans 12:15, rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. So we are happy when we see others happy because of the way our mirror neurons are working. We are sad when others are sad because we understand one another's emotions and feelings. It is in the complexity in our brain that allows us to empathize with each other. So there are neurons in our brains that allows us to feel for one another, to process how the other person is feeling, and in turn, that's how we empathize, or how we show each other how we care for one another. And lastly, in my conclusion, Brené Brown said, empathy is communicating the incredibly healing message of you are not alone. Jesus made everyone known, felt, and understood. He made sure he knew what everyone felt, from temptation to sorrow and even death. We must strive to be Christ-like as we continue on with our counseling journey. In Ephesians 5:1-2, it says, therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love, himself up for us, as Christ loved us and gave himself for us, a fragrant offering and a sacrifice to God. Empathy was a key component in Jesus' ministry, and it should be a key component in ours in order to help others. Thank you.